Hello and welcome to the Future Report. Today we have a couple of special topics, including one that is supported by us. So, would you like to start with the first topic?
Sure. So Nvidia just yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, unveiled a new AI chip. They're saying it's going to revolutionize, and they're going to be revolutionizing AI, in their own words, and then they're going to be powering a new era of computing. So let's get into the details about what that means. Basically, it's going to come as just another one of their full-size GPUs.
What is the name of that chip?
It's called the Blackwell.
The Blackwell chip?
Yep,
All right.
Blackwell chip. They have a couple of pictures on their website, which I'll provide that on the YouTube if you're watching. But they kind of look like cabinets, basically, and which is kind of cool. Like they look like the older cabinet-style server PCs.
Yeah, it's like the old server racks with
Yeah.
the drive sleds in the front.
Exactly. Except I don't believe it looks like there's just intake vents, not sleds, but
Yeah, but it looks like the sleds.
it does. So let's get into what it has. So some of the features that they list on the NVIDIA News website. So it's directly from NVIDIA. 5th gen NVLink. They're saying 1.8 terabytes bidirectional throughput per GPU. Pretty insane. There's a couple of things on there that are more, I guess, direct task related. Architecture improvements, RAS engine, secure AI, decompression engine. But the main, I guess you would say, star of the show there is the GB200 Grace Blackwell super chip. That's what they call it. It says it uses the 4 nanometer process. It's a multi-node liquid-cooled rack-scaled system altogether. I'm trying to find where I can see. Let's see. Here we go. So single GPU. 1.4 exaflops of AI performance, and then 30 terabytes of fast memory. Yeah, I know.
Exaflops.
Exaflops.
Nice.
Yeah, let's throw this into the GPU benchmark tool so we can get an idea of what that looks like. I don't know.
And then what was the other one? It's
30 terabytes of memory, which is ridiculous.
that is ludicrous.
Yeah, and then where is this? Okay, this is the Ethernet. So it's 400 gigs per second through quantum to InfiniBand, I guess. This is actually something that I haven't seen
They're
before.
creating new words as we speak.
No, I know. This is interesting. I'm not familiar with InfiniBand, but yeah, the thing that I saw for it initially was it's the thing that makes it appealing and the thing that makes it an actual better GPU than the predecessors is the amount of bandwidth across the actual chip itself between the chiplets that are on it. At the live event, which I find it interesting, I'm not seeing it here. He said that there was, this is Jensen talking, he said there was 10 terabytes of bandwidth across the chip, which
Okay.
is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say about this because it's not out quite yet. So
All right, so I'll just put a little bit in for like the price of it. So Nvidia has spent just about, well, more than actually $10 billion on creating this GB2 chip. I'm getting this directly from Guru 3D. Before, Nvidia's partners sold the H100 for $30,000 to $40,000. The price was at that limit, of course, because of the production limits of TSMC, the chip manufacturer plant. So, what would you call that? A fabrication plant?
yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't really because of the price of the actual chip. It was just because they just couldn't make them fast enough. Along with a lot of the other GPUs and CPUs with the price raises.
Yeah, I'm surprised TSMC is even, like, I've been surprised at the volume they've been able to put out. I mean, it makes sense that they're doing limitation now, but
Yeah.
it's been amazing that they've been able to put out consistently the volume they have for the last 10 years.
They're finally only limiting it now.
Let's see. There's another article from Guru 3D on the Blackwell B100. 2 dies, 192 gigabytes of HBM3E memory. This is a smaller version of the main chip, but it doesn't mention a price, which is unfortunate. But apparently there'll be other versions of this, so I guess they're going to have 2 or 3, because I'm seeing B100, B200, and then whatever the one that we were seeing from.
Yeah, there's also like the
Initial.
GH models too, I believe.
So these are going to hit the market, they're saying today, actually. So we expect to see these released today. Pretty interesting. So I guess we are pretty early to the news reporting on this because it has not
I
even
guess, yeah, as of 7 hours ago, apparently.
7 hours. Let's see. $20,000 for the B100, by the way. So like their base model starts at 20 grand. So if you're gonna be buying one of these,
let us know. Let us know.
Yeah,
if you're
let us
buy
know.
One.
We'll build one for you. Let's see. I'll also put the chart up for the performance as well. Guru 3D provided their speculated performance based off of their 2021 models and later, and they actually don't give a very clear. Very similar to Apple, they don't give a very clear exact number on how much better it is than the older ones, but to put it into context, the A100 in 2021 was their 1X base, and then for performance, the H100 that followed was 11 times better than that first one, and then the H200 is set to be 18 times faster than the first one, and then the B100 is just somewhere higher up the scale. They didn't provide a number for it. But I'll put that there in the YouTube for you guys to see.
All right, so for our second topic, we have one that's provided to you by us. If you go to our website at GameReadyTech.com, you can find our store and 2 featured custom pre-built options. We have, of course, our custom computers, but we also have our pre-builts that are also custom built and built by hand and quality controlled. So we have the Ghost Rider Mark II, which is our featured item today. It's running for $79.99.
Yeah.
$799 and 99.
Yeah.
So it's
$799.99. There we go.
$800. It has a Ryzen 5 5500 running at 3.6 gigahertz with a 6-core processor. We have for the GPU is an AMD Radeon 6600 8 gigabyte, which is like a budget high-end gaming card
I'd say
right now.
mid-range to high-end, yeah.
So yeah, it's mid to high range. Just a regular micro ATX motherboard. 16 gigabytes of RAM at 3600 CL18. We have a 1 terabyte SSD in there, and it's got a nice mesh front paneled case with, I believe we have 3 RGB fans in there for a little bit of style as well. It only comes in black right now. We're hoping to get a white version out sometime soon. But we really focus on
the potential experiment with Arc, or would that be something that?
That's not right now. So.
Well, I will say this: we would like to do some testing going forward with Arc GPUs because they've become a lot more stable, and if they meet the requirements and are actually a good value for you as a customer, then we'll be looking into implementing them later down the road. It might not be for this build directly, but if it is, you'll be the first to know.
Yep, we'll announce it on here first. But it's just a budget gaming computer right now. We have others in our lineup, but we mainly focus on making the products the best we can and customizing them to the user's performance. That's pretty much it for that topic.
Yep, I guess I'll finish us off with the last one then.
All right.
So something that I've been noticing since I'm actually a Linux user, I've been noticing a lot of discussion, spark discussion, heated discussion about the change from Xorg and X11 all the way to Wayland. So what that means is Linux's back end for their process handling for Windows, for desktop, for all the things you would normally use, is going to be changing for the first time in about 15 years to Wayland. And that's going to be the new technology. There's a lot of problems with it because Wayland has been known to break a lot of things. And the reason that people want Wayland as an alternative is because it supports a lot more modern features. And a lot of these features are really good for gaming, like HDR built in. It has it has a slightly, I guess you could call it, more secure window sharing system. So if you're doing calls, Discord calls, streaming, it's a better alternative in some ways, but then the complications that come with it is that it's a little bit harder to implement into applications. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's one of these things where when we switch to Wayland, hopefully, Linux support for games is going to become a lot easier. This is something where the people who use the Steam Deck, people who buy handheld computers like the ROG handhelds, the A&Neo handhelds, these are the kind of people that this will affect the most, because from the tests that I've seen on the newer kernels of Linux and different, I guess you call them distros, even though they're more task oriented, these new versions of Linux perform quite well. And the new drivers that come out, especially the open source driver for AMD, very good for gaming. So quick something to throw out there. But from my own testing on this laptop, this is actually a laptop running Wayland, and I've noticed it's a significantly smoother experience. And so I'm hoping that with that being a change that they're going to be rolling out over the next 2 to 3 years, I really would like to see more gaming specific computers running Linux like the Steam Deck. That's really about it.
Yeah, we want to see a lot more of that utilization with the smoother operations, because Windows 11 is not giving us the best performance as far as that, with all its bugs and stuff. So of course there's going to be bugs with every operating system that you use, but
so what, in your opinion, so I'll ask you a question, since you've been a Windows user just as long as I have, if not longer. When Windows 10 inevitably reaches end of life, what do you think what are those people going to do? Because
probably go to Windows 11.
I guess you're right. The reason I wondered that is because the people who've been on holdout for so long is they do it because they hate Windows 11.
I think that they're mostly, well, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of them are doing it because they don't feel like updating. Some others are doing it because they don't want to go to Windows 11. And I think there are others that are just like, I'll just use this until it's done and I'll go to the next one.
I guess that's true. I think one concern that I've noticed myself is that we've run into this too, where when you want to put a new machine onto Windows 11 from Windows 10, there are the requirements that they ask for. And obviously we know how to bypass them because it's not very difficult to do, but the average person might not. One concern that I thought, like I watched a couple of videos on the changes and things that are happening, and one thing that I feel like may start to happen is when Windows 10 gets cut off from end of life, a lot of computers are going to just go right into the landfill because a lot of people aren't going to bother.
Yeah, it's really going to be a huge waste.
And
I don't really know how that's going to work out, but I'm hoping that they're going to open like some refurbish facilities or something. I don't know. Recyclers, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, I think ideally the best solution would be for people to reuse those computers on Linux and run a home server off of them or something.
But not everyone has the time or the capability of doing that.
It is true. It is unfortunate though, because now with Windows 10 being gone, there's not like a stable alternative for a lot of people. I myself included, I don't really have a very stable alternative to Windows 11 going forward, because I've wanted to switch back to Windows 10 for a while now, because as much as I like Windows 11's better HDR, slightly better performance in games that I play, not across the board, but at least in the games that I played, I was plagued with an incredibly slow file explorer, incredibly slow image processing. Hard drives take egregiously long to be read by the system. Search is unbearable. It's worse than Windows 10. I don't know how that's possible, but all the basic things that I want to use my computer for when I'm working are terrible.
I don't really have that many problems. I don't do a whole lot on my computer besides homework and studying and things like that. I do some occasional gaming, but I don't really have that many problems. I've had some weird bugs with like internet and stuff. I don't know if that's due to just like lack of updates or something. I have no idea, but I haven't had a horrible experience with Windows 11. That being said, I've seen people have huge problems with Windows 11. I just really haven't experienced them myself. So as far as that goes, like if I start experiencing big issues, I will have nothing holding me back from switching to Linux because I know how to use it and I'm not scared of it. It's just that I've got everything on Windows 11 right now, and migrating is just kind of a pain.
That's kind of where I am right now, because if I want to move the editor that I use to make these videos, it kind of sucks on Linux, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah,
it's good, but they release the features late.
I think you're in the same boat as me when it comes to I haven't experienced enough problems right now to make me switch now, but as soon as I do, I'm not holding back from just switching immediately.
The thing that's frustrating for me too is that when I first installed Windows 11, I installed the tiny version, like the modified tiny Windows 11, because I tried stock and it broke my computer. So then I had to get a different one. But then it was stable for months. Like, it was stable for almost a year. I've had that installed since May, I believe, of last year. So it's been stable for most of that time that I've had it. But then the last 2 months, every feature update causes it to become worse.
Yeah, I got mine. I don't even know. I got my load pretty much when it came out, maybe a little bit after. Wait, no, I did wait a little while, didn't I?
Yeah, you didn't want to switch for a little while, but your Windows 10 was completely messed up.
Yeah,
so
something happened where I got like a dual load of Windows, and then it just messed everything up. So I was like, I might as well just switch to Windows 11 at this point. Because I was never like super cool with what they did to Windows 11. Especially, I don't like everything being bubbly. I like clean cut and
a lot of people
unstylized.
A lot of people have the same.
I'd much rather make it look like work instead of like home. I don't know.
You mean like you think like Windows 11 Pro looks like Windows 10 Home, basically, where like they tried to make it.
No, I was saying in terms of I want it to be like professional, not super like bubbly. Because I don't.
I get what you mean.
I don't want to be like. I don't know. I don't want eye candy. I just want it to just work.
I actually turned off a lot of the eye candy on mine as well for that same reason. I don't need it to be blurring all the backgrounds and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I just need it to work. And if they can make the eye candy work, then I'll be happy with it. But
they kind of did. Like it works well. It's just I don't want to be distracted from what I'm doing because I'm not trying to just mess around. If I was just on my computer to be on my computer, then sure. But I'm doing it because I want to work or I want to sit down and play a game with some friends. You know,
I can understand that.
I'm not just there to be browsing on my desktop.
That is one thing about, so this is running Plasma, which is a desktop environment that's built to be like Windows. Yep. There's Genome, which is the one that we use in the office on our server, which is like the bubbly kind of flat kind of appearance one, where it's round-ish, but it's not round and bubbly. It's just very
it's
flat,
not like
simple.
3D. It's just 2D.
Exactly. It's very simple. Plasma is very flat. Like Plasma is incredibly people call it dated because it's very squared off. There's not a lot of rounding.
Even Windows 10, like I'm looking at it right now. When you have like two tabs split in two, or one on top of the other, there's like a shadow, and it makes it seem like it's in front, which I appreciate that because I don't want to just be meshed together. But with Windows 11, it's just kind of like.
Yeah, they also add the handles. They add the window handles that are visible whenever you go over the tabs when you want to grab something, and then you can like drag it to adjust the size. But like it's a little bit of an eyesore because if you have something that you're trying to read and you put your mouse in the wrong spot, you get handles that show up and you have to, when you're trying to focus, it's not ideal. I think that on the topic of Plasma, like I was saying, my favorite thing about it is that if I want to make certain aspects of it very stylized, I can. So like I have a very stylized taskbar. I just have a very colorful, fun taskbar with fun icons because I just don't need it to be flat white and flat black. I just thought it was cool to have it different.
Well, yeah, because it's also that's not like your workhorse. That's something you bring places and you're using.
It's remote work. I only ever work on this, but I wanted the taskbar to be fun. One, because I think color coding makes it easier for me to see stuff quickly. That's just my own thing. But then I don't want those colors to extend to the rest of the desktop. And one of the things I like is that Linux is very uniform in that regard. Like every menu follows what I set it to be.
Yeah.
Windows 11, my biggest gripe with it when trying to fix problems is that
You can only fix one thing, and the one thing is everything.
not even that.
It's just
It's
all
like
grouped together.
it's like if you want a certain setting, you can modify 10% of it in the settings app, 10% of it at the bottom of the taskbar, and then
Oh,
like
yeah, I
90%
guess-
of it in the control panel, and then
Yeah.
the rest of it has to be done through PowerShell or
You
something.
just did 110%.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that pretty much is the Windows experiment. I was just screwing around. I wasn't
know,
even trying
I
to do
know,
the
I'm
math,
just messing
but
around.
that's what it feels like. Like if I want to change my network preferences to use a different DNS, I have to go through settings, then I have to go into advanced, and then it'll just open the control
Yeah,
panel. the whole
I know
time.
what you mean. I understand.
So it gets a little frustrating.
I don't like how everything's grouped together. It's like if you want to do dark theme, then it just changes everything to dark, which is kind of nice in some aspects.
For new setup, it's great.
Yeah, but like if I'm just setting up a computer for somebody else,
Yeah.
it's great. But for myself, like, what if I want, like you're talking about, what if I want to have a colorful taskbar and then everything else be flat?
Yeah.
You can't do that. You either have everything be black, or everything be white, or everything be colorful.
Pretty much. And I think the other thing too is that even when you set something, half of Windows 11 doesn't even follow it. Like if you open control panel, it's still the Windows 7 control panel. It literally says backup and restore for Windows 7. They didn't even bother to change the name of the backup restore tool to update for the new operating system. So I think like one of my gripes trying to become more of a power user on Windows is just how
You're right.
you checked on that one. Yeah, it's the
I
same
just looked
thing.
it up.
And
That is so weird.
it's a little frustrating because I understand why they're doing it that way, but it does make the entire back end just feel like a mess to work with. Like if I don't know where a setting is, I have to scroll through a phone dialer. I have to scroll past a phone dialer and like a bunch of other random settings that I will never touch to get to the setting that I'm looking for. I understand that it's there for compatibility, don't get me wrong, but I do really like the nice cut and clean feel.
I don't think that the settings search on Windows really ever worked.
I get web pages before I get files on my computer at this point. Like,
Well,
it'll
yeah,
try to
with the
search.
Windows search, yeah.
Oh, you mean like in settings?
In the settings, you type in something and it brings you like 20 items that have like, you typed in this letter and it's in the middle of this word. So
Yeah.
I don't know. At this point, I'm just like,
My thing is like, I noticed this because on Linux, I never really organize my files. I don't have a desktop on this computer. I don't have much of anything. I don't use the built-in folders like the ones you normally have, documents, downloads, etc. I don't really use those. Stuff just kind of goes to my home directory and just picks its own folder. Like I have a ton of tools in there, but it's because if I want to find something, I can terminal find it. I can fuzzy find it in like a second. Like if I want to know where my themes are, I can search the name of the theme and it'll get me that result instantly. Like I don't have to feel like I have to
I
do
definitely
the
think
work.
that their search bar could use a lot of work. It did get some, because now it shows up with your things that are local and then browser tabs.
Is that in the built-in search or is that the PowerToys search though? Like because the PowerToys
the built-in search.
Because
I know the PowerToys search does that, and it's much better. But when I'm in a rush, I just click the search bar. It does separate internet searches with.
Mine does not do that. Mine pulls up.
Well,
edge
sometimes
results
there's
at the
one
top.
thing at the top,
Yeah.
But
For me, I think it's a philosophy thing. Like at this point, I moved to Windows to get away from Mac OS at first because I wanted to use my computer how I wanted to use my computer,
Yeah.
and I wanted to
not
download
how they
apps.
wanted you to use it.
And I wanted to use apps that, other people made for free because the paid solutions didn't even do what I wanted them to do. So I'm like, okay, well, this is an expensive ecosystem to stay in. Every laptop that I have to buy now is $1,000 minimum.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck on this. So I moved to Windows, and now Windows is becoming like this. So then now I'm forced to go, okay,
Well, at least the prices are remaining relatively the same
I agree.
for the laptops themselves.
I agree, and that is great. But it is mildly frustrating when something should work.
Competition
Just
always
doesn't.
makes better prices.
It's a shame that Windows is pretty much it's like what's the word? Undisputed, right? Undisputed standard, and it seems like that trend will continue. because you're not going to get
Yeah,
people...
until they... Apparently, there's supposed to be some type of... It's not one-time purchase anymore, I believe. For Windows 12, it's going to be a monthly subscription.
People are going to start migrating.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be Linux all the way after that. Because once you start taking away people's one-time purchases and stuff, it's just like Adobe.
Yeah.
Like Adobe kind of fell off the face of the planet once you couldn't one-time it.
Yeah, I mean, Pirate Bay, the Adobe software, and it has like 600,000 downloads. Like, oh,
Yeah, this has more than Adobe.
more torrent downloads in the last 24 hours than sales.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the thing that will always be the friction, like the bar of entry for an average person to get on Linux is just getting on Linux in the first place. Like, you're not.
It's
not
really
gonna
just the
happen.
migration. It hurts. There is growing pains when you switch to Linux.
I feel like if they put laptops in stores with a very simple, I don't know, cinnamon desktop with Debian, like stable, easy, comes with the software center, and they just put those out for $300, people will start buying them because people buy Chromebooks for the same exact price.
People would start buying them, but
Yeah.
I think that the customer support line would be flooded.
Maybe. I think
You
Linux
do
is-
have to realize that Linux is still complicated.
No, it is. Definitely
So-
it is.
It's not for everyone, and the people who buy Chromebooks are like, I want something that explore internet.
And I think Linux is good for that, though. I think that the built-in browsers that come with them are just Chrome.
You're right, but you have to install your own packages when it comes to updates and stuff.
I don't think so. Because the thing is, the tools we use aren't commonly used. So if we want to find a tool, like this is for our personal uses, we use tools that the average person would never touch. So naturally, they might not show up in the software center. But I've seen Zoom, Spotify, Discord, the basics like TeamSpeak, things that people would just use on the daily and never do anything but in the software center. You get updates, you get system updates, and your packages update. I feel like if that's all you do,
if that happens, then
it might be fine. But you are right, though, because no matter what, you can't use Linux and ignore integral parts of the system like the terminal. Like if you don't know what you're doing and your system magically doesn't update one day, you're opening terminal and you're going to do something in it. The average Windows user may never touch PowerShell, but like
most of them don't.
But Linux, you are touching the terminal at least once in your first like 2 months of using it. You will open terminal, so I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the part of the issue with that is that when you have a system of people who want things done exactly how they want it done, you can't standardize it.
Yeah.
So how do you expect every single package to be in the same place for everybody if certain people don't like the way that system handles packages, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of you can't really standardize it for everybody because then it defeats the purpose of it being free and open. But I mean, if Windows 12 does come around and it becomes a subscription or a software as a service or however you want to cherry coat or whatever, sugarcoat the fact that it's basically just worse in every conceivable way, then I mean,
it's just ease of use for most people.
It is true, but how many people are going to pay a monthly subscription?
No, that is where they're going to fall off, I think.
Because the thing is, people
obviously
pay,
there's going to be people who do it, obviously.
Look
but
at
I
Office.
think
they did that to Office.
I know, and people still use it.
Yeah, you can buy the licenses,
just
but yeah,
I don't understand, especially because there are people who will use it till it's completely done. Like people are still on Windows 7.
people are still on XP.
Yeah, there's still people using those. If you make it a monthly service, nobody's using that.
People will just.
I think
on
that's what
end
they're
of
doing.
life
They're
10.
they're saying, well, I don't like it that people are still using Windows 7. So let's shut it off and make them pay a monthly subscription.
But they won't be able to do that though. They won't. be
No,
able
I know
to,
they can't shut it off. They stopped updates for it.
Well, let's be
but-
real. Windows 7, that was 15 years of
I know.
support. Windows 10 when did it come out? 2015?
Man, I don't even.
Let me see. Windows 10 release, because I think that one was like 10 years or so. 2015. So it'll hit 10 years of support straight. July 29th, 2015. So I mean, you're not
Now
wrong.
they're going to do 5 years for Windows 11. Watch.
I mean, Windows 11 is already 3 years old. and they're saying it's going to go till 2028.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
I
that's
guess
like
that's not
8
bad.
years. So I mean, it is going down, but they're trying to increase the release cycle of each operating system. I guess I don't know, one every 3 years, as opposed to one every 10 now. I guess. I mean, no, wait. 15 to 18, or no, 11, 2021.
A little
So,
history lesson.
Wait a minute. So it's 2021 when they did Windows 11. So
Yeah.
that's what? 6 years? Right? Yeah. So I mean, that's
1
not.
to 8 to
Tw-
28.
Yeah, because if it's going to go. So
So
Windows.
7 years.
7 or 8 years. So I mean, it's going down.
Yeah.
It's going down. But I mean,
Depends on when it releases or when it gets shut off.
I will say that about Linux that I was very surprised to learn. In my searches to because this is a MacBook, so getting it on Linux was a back-breaking ordeal. But when I was doing my searches on cleaning up packages that I'm not using, little things that the average person might never think about, there were people who have been running Arch since it came out.
Yeah.
Like Arch in like, I think it was like 2000 or something. Like they've been running the same install for like 20 years. Never reinstalled, never broke it, and they're still getting updates. It just doesn't die. And I think that could be the big selling point for a free operating system like that. Like if you want support, if you get good enough at Linux that you feel like you want to contribute, then contribute. But if you don't, there's always somebody who's going to contribute, and it'll be around. And you don't have to move or feel like, oh, I don't have security anymore, because it's still ongoing.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all the time that we have. So
I'll close this out
wanna
then.
close? Yep.
So thank you so much for watching, everybody. We did get a little bit into the weeds on this one, but that's part of the fun.
Yep.
So if you want to tune in on YouTube, we're going to have all of the diagrams and imagery that we discussed. It'll be displayed there. If you want to check out our website and see the Ghostwriter Mark II for yourself, please head to GameReadyTech.com. And then for the rest of you listening in, thank you so much, and we'll be back with episode 7 very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.